Hey everybody, it's Michael Angelo Caruso, and we are going to talk today with Randy Ettema. How are you, Randy?
Hey, I'm doing great this afternoon. Thanks for doing this with me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for volunteering yourself up. Randy is going to be governor in District 6310 in Michigan, and he's getting ready for to get his governor speech all polished up, his governor visits. How many clubs will you be visiting?
We have 32 clubs in our district.
Okay,
So,
very good. So we want to make sure all 32 of those clubs get a professional, exciting, motivational governor visit. And I think you're wise to get some help with this because you've got a lot of fish to fry in a 20-minute talk or a 25-minute talk. Let's take a look at a share screen and figure out what we can do to punch up your great speech. And again, I appreciate you making it available to us. Okay, can you see it okay, Randy?
yes, I can.
Okay, good.
And I have a hard copy in front of me as well.
Great. Let's do a quick markup on it. So you're opening with what's called a cold open with no greeting whatsoever. You're not even saying hello according to this script. Now, I realize you're going to bob and weave and you want to be natural in your presentation, but I recommend a three-part greeting. And the three parts are a greeting, a thank you, and a compliment. So the greeting is a simple hello. Thanks, because somebody introduced you, thank you, Madam President, or thank you, President Terry, right? And then you say, thank you very much for having me today. What a great looking crowd. I've heard so many good things about your club. Finally get a chance to visit with you. You find, or I love your city, or what a great meeting location. Some sort of compliment that helps them understand that this is pleasant for you. And of course, when you say it's good to be there, you want to smile. This is a major mistake a lot of speakers make. They'll say it, they're enjoying themselves, but they didn't tell their face. So you might even—
I notice you always have a smile on your face, Michael.
So you want to write smile into your notes right at that moment, because most people practice what to say, but they don't practice how to say it. Okay?
Yep.
All right. So now you're into your little story here about going to the Dominican Republic. Just a couple little things, just to give you an idea of the kind of quality that we're looking at for here. You're going to mention a guy named Dave Morgan. You're going to mention another lady named Eileen Jennings, and I'm sure they're terrific people. But you're in the habit in this speech of talking with people we're never going to get to know. And you mention their names as if they're important, but then it doesn't show up later in the story as being important. You could easily say two other Rotarians from Michigan. Now, if you feel strongly about any of the things that you've done here, just keep doing them. You don't have to take my advice on anything, but you'll see there's a little pattern here. There's probably 5 or 6 people that you mention, and they're not even in the district, or they're not even alive anymore. I say, instead of talking about people that aren't with us, talk about people that are in the room. And you've already done that in your thank you if you've addressed a couple people by name. You see the advantage to that?
Yes, good idea.
Okay, so here we go. So you say, I know the end of this story because I reviewed this already, and I told you, I think I redlined your speech for you. I know this is not supposed to be a typical day, but you tell us it's a typical day, and I thought that was curious. I would take that out. We've also got a tense problem, T-E-N-S-E. It has been 6 weeks. I believe it had been, H-A-D.
Oh.
So if you're telling a story and the story is past tense, you got to keep the story in past tense the entire time. Okay, then it proceeds along nicely, and everybody, where he's going for this is he's going to tell about how, the moment he became a Rotarian. There's an old saying in Rotary, I was a Rotarian, I signed up in Rotary and such, but I wasn't a Rotarian until this happened. And Randy's giving us one of those stories. I like this effect. It's in red. I do it in brackets, in capital letters. Everybody does it differently. But these are the talking points for how to present. That's that part that's so important. Write this down, Randy. People believe, they believe how you say something more than they believe what you say. So you want to put a lot of attention to mannerisms and tone and expression of your face and that sort of thing. One great way, by the way, for guys, I'm talking to guys because they're less expensive. They're less expressive than women. The other one too, maybe, is to raise your eyebrows when you're talking, because it opens up your whole face when you raise your eyebrows, And
Yes.
that's when I became a Rotarian, right? So just something about that. Raise your eyebrows. Okay. You say here, and I think maybe you just got ahead of yourself a bit. You say, she said attendance improved, but there's no previous reference to this compared to what? I don't understand. You asked what, it was a hand washing program, and you asked the teacher what impact hand washing had had on her students. She said attendance improved. You mean more people were showing up to class because of it?
Yeah, that was the intent of what I was trying to say.
All right,
Yes.
baby, connect the dots. I'm not quite getting it.
No,
Either
okay.
explain it, and I mean this, either explain it or leave it out. Because now improved attendance is important. And if it came about through this, you're going to have to develop it for me, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Then you said, you asked her why she rubbed her belly, but I looked back through the text, I never saw her rubbing her belly. So again, we've got to, in storytelling, you got to keep your timing straight. Just tell me, why did she rub her belly? I didn't see that.
So if I were to say, when I got to the school and we were talking and she rubbed her belly and she rubbed her arms, then later I can say.
It's not right yet. I've got to have it in the story somehow. Like you didn't show up and she started rubbing her belly and touching her arms. That's not exactly how it happened, right?
Right. It was after discussing and visiting with the students.
You got to get back into it and describe it in a linear way that I can understand, even if I'm only half listening to you, which a lot of people may be doing.
Yeah.
Just because you got to earn their respect. They're hanging in there. They're waiting for something to happen. Let's not lose the narrative or lose the trail. So make sure you develop that a bit for them. Okay, good. And by the way, I like your speech a lot. I think it has a lot to offer. Randy's in a position, you're in a position, Randy, where a lot of governors are. You know, they've had a lifetime of experience in Rotary. They got a cluster of things they want to share, but some of the ideas aren't fully developed yet. And this is a good chance for you to do that. So I'm so glad we're talking today. Okay. Rub your belly. Okay, now we're moving down to this issue about so attendance improved. It seemed like the kids were going to be able to learn more, have more full and productive lives. And by the way, they're all healthier than they used to be. And that is the gist of the story. Fewer bacterial infections. You know you did the right thing, and you went from being a Rotarian to being a member of Rotarian to being a Rotarian. Do I have it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. I think if you're going to make it that kind of story, you're going to have to get into it a bit. You're going to have to set the scene for us. You're going to have to write in all 5 senses. Write it down. Most people write in visual, like I saw this and this is what it looked like, but they don't tell you what it smelled like. Dominican Republican has an odor. I've been there. And the other 3 senses, taste, touch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So taste is a little bit more difficult maybe, but you can certainly talk about sight, which you haven't really done here. That's one of the easiest ones. What does the school look like? What does the school room look like? What do the kids look like? I'll bet you have some visual memories, and you can go back to those photographs of those kids and they look at somebody from our part of the world when they walk into the room, and they have those big round brown eyes and they're so expressive. They're all like little puppy dogs looking at you, you know? And a lot of them have hope in their eyes. And some of them have lost hope. You see what I'm doing? Creating a picture. I'm getting you to bring you into the room with me, because that last sentence won't carry the payload if it's not staged properly. You with me?
Yep, I need to build the story.
Yep. So if you try to think about those 5 senses, the story will kind of write itself, and then you'll be in a better place. Okay. This is an iterative process writing. So you might have to do this speech 3 or 4 more times. And it'll be tons better than most governor speeches, because I'm not sure most governors go into this depth. So there's a reward waiting for you at the end of all this work. Okay. So if you talk about those students that you saw, maybe even give them names. If they can be fake names after, you need to use a technique called personification and make these students, make one of those students human. Make her real for everybody that's listening to you. Maybe it's one of those photos in your slideshow. I don't know. If you don't have good photos, don't bother.
Yeah, I've got some good photos to add in with it. So
Okay, so don't do, if you're selling the student as part of the story, don't do a gaggle of students and, oh, that's her on the left. Do a close-up of her, doe-eyed, hopeful face, right? And so if the audience isn't going, ooh, like that, it's not the photo. That's how you know.
okay.
Okay. Now, you have a habit in this particular speech of asking questions, which is okay. It can be a motif for various speakers. But if you ask too many of these questions and the questions seem like they're brain teasers, they're going to fall flat. So one of the ways I ask questions is I'll give people two choices, fork in the road. You can go left, you can go right. You can choose light, you can choose darkness. You can have your club succeed or you can have your club fail. And then I make it and I say, which one do you want? So I make it, that's a different approach. You say, well, that was my Rotary moment. What's your Rotary moment? And I'm thinking to myself, well, how are they going to answer that question? You're on to the next sentence. So you're asking to be polite and inspirational, but there's no oxygen for them to move on this, right? You'll see that it happens a few more times in this speech. So think about maybe another motif instead of asking that question. If you just drew a red line through that, nobody would ever know. They'd never miss the fact you didn't ask them.
Okay, so you're suggesting it's better just to leave it right out.
Unless we can fix it. Write this down in your notes. Nobody ever knows what you leave out of your presentation. That's going to free you up right there, man.
Okay.
Okay, and I didn't do any timing on this, so I don't know. What are you shooting for, 20 minutes?
I read through it once and it was about 15 or 16 minutes.
Okay, and you can do some Q&A after that, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rotary theme for this year is Rotary opens opportunities. I'd like to suggest there are 3 ways to open opportunities. Okay, so this kind of language. You're in charge now, man, or you will be soon. We need a driver he's in the driver's seat, not in the passenger seat. He's in the driver's seat. He's got his hands on the wheel, both hands at 10 and 2. When you're in that position with your district, you don't like to suggest. I would just suggest. You see? We're going to debulk and take out some of the words that are taking your strength from you. Your job is to be influential. You are the cheerleader in chief for the district. And so we're going to take out some of this language. It's very common, by the way. I see it all the time. I see it in CEOs. These are soft words that soften your overall offer and your overall opportunity for them. So there'll be more of that coming up. Okay. 3 ways that you can make, and I like this. And when you do the 3, you're going to hold up your hand like this, 3.
Right.
And put it in bold graphics, 3. Because that's, again, how to say it. And you're going to count them down. Now, I'm not thrilled about the 3 things, fun, fellowship, and passion, but it could work. I'm eager to see more. I want to see more of what you got. Okay, we're moving. And you want to number these pages soon so we can reference them. Especially if you have some other people look at it. Number 1, fun. What does it mean to be Rotary happy? Now, you got this, I think, from a lady that spoke at International Assembly.
Yes, I did.
I'm blanking on her name, Shot or something like that. I interviewed her on my podcast, my Talk to Me podcast. She's a lovely lady, and she's got this great, it's a quotable quote. It's so strong, you want to, put it in your speech, and that's good. That's fine. You might want to credit her. That's called attribution. Now, attribution is not only the right thing to do because it's not your phrase. And by the way, she's decent about it. I'm sure she wouldn't mind if you used it, but it's just a good habit. But attribution works for you in other ways as well. Attribution lets other people in the audience know that you've studied this stuff. You're accessing other expert sources, and they're going to like that about you. This means you're not making it up as you go. So, it wouldn't hurt to reference a business book, an organizational behavior book, a book with best practices for communication. Because now you're reading up on communication. You see how the symbolism of that is pretty strong for a leader, right? Okay. I'm going to mention this now. You're going to know why it's more important in a minute. Our Frankenmuth Morning Rotary Club is referenced as 2 projects that you do. Now, I don't mind that you're referencing your own club. The number one rule in speaking is know your audience. Number two rule is to speak about what you know. And since you're a member of your club, your forehand, the easy thing for you to do is to talk about what's working in your club. But guess what? Guess what they'd rather hear about, your club or their club?
Well, I'm sure it's their club.
That's right. But you're visiting 30 some clubs and you don't know something, you don't know a lot about them because of where you're at. So you're going to have to default. You're going to have to go to the backhand instead of the forehand. You're going to have to talk about your club, but that's not really what they want to hear about. That's going to become a problem later on, and I'll show you why. But just keep that in your head for a second. I can work with it right now. Okay, so you talk about a duck race that the club does and how it's impactful and fun. But fun is different things to different people. And I think you're the kind of governor that wants them to do things that have fun, but also have impact. I mean, if you just have fun all the time, it's great, but we're not actually doing anything. You said this is a fundraiser, but we finished the whole story and I never hear how much funds was raised. How much money did it raise?
Well, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, this was about $10,000.
You realize that's the largest fundraiser most of your clubs will ever have. Not just this year, but ever. Mm-hmm. You got to share that number.
Yeah.
Write it in there, 10K. Okay. So we had fun raising money. We had fun at our fundraiser. We were impactful at the same time we were having fun. Now you're getting the flywheel to spin, right? You're getting a couple things done at the same time. You're getting people to multitask in their brain. Oh my gosh, we could have fun and raise money. We could work our passions and have fun. So we're going to see that kind of ping pong match happen back and forth over and over again here. We're moving. Let's see, useful to message. Collected the top, I'm moving too fast. Sometimes I'm one of the lucky ones to get in the water and collect the 25 winning ducks. Okay, and the Cass River can be very cold. Now, I will tell you something. You're going to get a titter from the audience, and in comedy, they number the titter or the laugh. They want to get a 10, but they say that's a 3 or that's a 2. That's probably a 1 or a 2. People are going to kind of giggle. The Cass River can be cold in June, and they'll titter, and you'll be rewarded because you'll think, well, they enjoyed that. That was funny, but it's not really nutritional value to it. I know you've been in the water and you felt the cold, but it's not really endemic to the story about having fun. Being really cold in the water, in fact, is the opposite of fun.
That's true. Yeah.
So if you give me too many things to think about, I get muddled, or maybe it's even subconscious. I just get hung up a bit, and then your call to action at the end becomes less powerful because you muddled me up a couple times. This could be one of those times. I'm just being straight up with you, okay? Mm-hmm. All right. And then at the bottom, impact. So that's where I got my cue that you wanted fun with impact. I know it's important to you. You even put it in bold.
Well, bold to emphasize it, especially when I present it to people.
Yeah. So in this little space here, I want you to write a few things. You got to tell us the gross and tell us the net, because that's how a governor talks. I don't want to know how much money you made. I want to know how much money you kept. How much money did the club have now to give to other people? That's a governor thing, gross versus net. How many people joined? How many years in a row have you done the duck thing?
Oh, it's been at least 10 years.
Okay, so in 10 years, how many people joined Rotary because of the duck event? Can you find that number?
I could find it.
If it's an impressive number, I think you want to share it. How many business sponsorships business relationships do you have in the community as a result of the duck race? And if you know the names of those companies, give them a shout out, because there are people that like those companies. Everything that you do in your speech, especially at the beginning of the speech, is designed to draw the audience towards you. So every time you say something that makes you user-friendly to them, they're going to like it. That you're a dad. What are you retired from again? You told me today earlier.
Oh, from DuPont. I was in agricultural sales.
Okay, so anybody who was in sales, that hears you say sales, they move closer to you. Anybody that's a farmer, they move closer to you. Anybody that hears DuPont, and has a chemical or engineering brain, they're going to move closer to you. These are little seeds that you plant early in your talk, and they germinate right in front of your eyes. And the people just start, because that's the whole idea, right? You need them to be closer to you at the end for this CTA, this call to action. That's why I keep talking about it. Okay. Perhaps Rotary Happy Hour means Rotary Happy means that your club sends 2 students to the district author quest writing camp this summer. Okay, so I see what you're doing here. You're plugging the camp. And again, you're mentioning impact. When you mention something 2 or 3 times, it's what the French call a motif, M-O-T-I-F. You want to make sure if you're bothering to say something multiple times, that you're getting a payback on it, that it's nutritious for the audience. Don't just do it to do it. So impact is one of those things. You talk about the 6 areas of focus. In writing, it says if you reference the 6 areas of focus, you're obligated to tell me what they are. Do you feel that way about your speech?
The 6 areas of focus, I could.
I'll give you a hint, Randy. You don't have to actually go through, you don't have to like define them, but you should mention them.
Well, I mean, I obviously know what they are, but it's just a matter of, do I need to mention all of them if I mention literacy? Do I need to mention all the other ones?
Yeah, so you do it like this. So and you may remember literacy is one of the 6 areas of focus. The other 5 are bam, 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 bam. Anyway, just think of the impact you'll have on the lives of those 2 students. And now you've fried your fish. The reason why there are people in the audience, they go, and again, it's another rabbit hole. You go 6 areas of focus, and they go, what? What now? 6 areas of focus. What are they? You know,
No.
So in writing, it's a hard and fast rule, but speakers get away with murder because they just blaze through it. But I think it overall hurts their influence. So that's my tip. You close out the fun section by asking another one of those questions. This is the 2nd time that you've done it. It's now officially a motif. What is it that makes you Rotary happy? Now, you could, one person listening to this could say, well, you know, Caruso, he's being so hard on Randy. He's such a nice man. It's basically a good speech. Why is he taking this guy down like he is? But I know that there are more questions like this coming. And again, I don't know that I'm a fan of it, but we can talk about it as at the end here. The second of the 3 things you want to talk about is fellowship. Let's see, how many of us feel good? That's the next red line that I have. How many of us feel good when we see our friends and fellow Rotarians on a Zoom call? So again, you're the district governor, hands on the wheel at 10 and 2. Don't ask when you can declare. Listen to the difference. How many of us feel good when we see our friends and fellow Rotarians on a Zoom call? That's the first version. That's the question. Now I'm going to just declare it. You feel good when you see your friends and fellow Rotarians on a Zoom call, don't you? I mean, I'm going to declare it, and then I'm going to send what's called a ping, a P-I-N-G. Yep, yep, yep. So I have a different style than you. I'm a bit more in your face. But maybe you can move a little bit that way to be a bit more direct with them. It's just a suggestion. You don't have
You're
to.
giving the audience really the choice to say yes.
Yeah, but to do that, you don't have to be soft and fluffy about it on the front end. You can declare it and then say, you agree with me? Right? You hear the difference?
Yep.
It's a style difference. This is that, I think, and I don't know you well, but I think, and we visited at a cocktail reception at a Rotary event a while back. But my sense is that you want to be a high energy, inspirational leader to these people, yeah?
I do.
Okay, so these are the tricks that you use to get there. And the slight little wobble that you're going to have is that you're not like a Southern California movie star type energy guy. You know, you're going to have to conjure this up a bit. You're from DuPont, man. But you can get there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So don't ask when you can declare. Next sentence. Congratulations goes out to all of you for staying with your members. So a few places in this, you're going to put an exclamation mark because you need emotion. and the exclamation mark will be your trigger to, you know, raise your hands in the air, and congratulations goes out, or congratulations go out, little gesture, eyebrows go up, congratulations, smile, right? That kind of a thing. Okay, anytime you see exclamation mark. Now, here, for staying engaged with your members, I have seen what Rotary International has been doing to keep Rotarians connected and engaged. And then you say, the ability of your club to adapt and to stay engaged is critical to your success. So we've got a bit of redundancy here. And what I'm going to suggest is deleting this sentence. And the reason is, if you've seen it, it doesn't matter if you've seen it. The second sentence, far more powerful. The ability of your club to adapt and stay engaged is critical to your success. You see how that's everything you need to say right there?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you don't need to tell them I've seen it and then say that that's what they need to do. Leave out that first sentence and it's stronger already.
You're declaring again, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. You've seen me speak, yeah? Am I shy?
Yeah.
No, I'm not shy. I am like super direct, man. But don't try to be me. Be a better version of yourself.
Yep.
All right. I mentioned earlier that there's a danger of talking too much about your own club, and now you've done it a second time. And I know you're not trying to sabotage yourself, but stay alert for that because I think it might be happening. Okay. And you're saying when I show up at a club meeting, there's a certain vibe that I feel. Not only is familiarity with the members, it's camaraderie, a sense of friendliness. That is not a valuable piece of intelligence to share. They all have that already, most of them, in my opinion. Okay. Now you're getting to change and having a more dynamic club, and you're going to go after this old thing about people who have their favorite places to sit. And you're going to use that as like a fulcrum to make a bigger point, which I like in general. But the problem is it takes you 2 full paragraphs to do it. And I think you can probably get it done a lot sooner. Is it 2 full paragraphs? 1 long one. You see the paragraph I'm talking about?
Well, then I go into the sergeants and what they do.
Yeah, but this one is just about, I mean, it's just, I know what you're trying to do, but it's taking you a long time to get it done. Here it is. It's over 100 words. I'm trying to highlight it. Basically to get people to sit in a different chair. So there's got to be a way to get that done faster, more economically. I made a note here, and I just did a brief red line of this. I didn't study it or work on verbiage for you, but some suggestions. I wrote a note to myself, insular habits versus Rotary reach out. Now I coined that little couplet, Rotary reach out, just now in my notes. Rotary reach out. And the reason I did that, I'm doing the same thing that lady did at Rotary International. She created Rotary Happy, which you're borrowing. And now I want you to create your own lexicon, Rotary reach out. You can have it if you want. And then people in your district, if they hear that often enough from you, they will say, that's Randy talking, Rotary reach out. Now you don't have to use what I just offered you. It's got a nice alliteration, the 2 R's. But when you start coining your own language, people will mimic you in a good way, just like you're referencing Miss Schott from the International Assembly speech. And I'm suggesting that instead of this long paragraph, right? And you can give this sitting in the same seat as the example, but I'm just saying you don't have to spend 110 words on it.
Yeah, I follow you.
Okay.
Yeah, good idea.
Moving on. Okay, so recently our club president, Joe Putnam, again talking about somebody that's not in the room, really mixed us up by giving us a table number when we arrived. Now, one trick around this, because I do think you have to talk about what you know, is if you don't want to talk about your club, say, I know of clubs that give each person a number when they enter the room. So now you're still sharing the strategy, but it's not about your club. Follow? If you talk about your club too much, it'll seem like you don't know anything about any other clubs. That's not a district governor kind of a voice. I know it's not true, but people will think that.
Yep.
Okay.
Good point.
Moving. All right, you're trying to inspire them with some ideas for games and stuff. I think we need more governor grade ideas. That's what I'll call them, governor grade ideas. And you have them. They're just not in this little collection so far. This often happens when you go back to the table with your pen and you think about other high-end ideas and you take out one of the small ones, you substitute something that's higher grade. I came up from the music business in a band that toured the college circuit. And I read over and over and over again about hit songs. The band famous band already had 10 songs for the album, and the producer said, we need another song. And that song became the single, the 11th song. So don't give up on these ideas of coming up with what I call governor grade ideas. If the president of Rotary International got up to give a speech and talked, and his best idea was solo cup stacking games, you'd say, we need another president. And we don't want people to say that about you. So I know you have other ideas, and I know this is only your first draft. We're just going to get more of these high grade ideas cooking for you.
Okay, appreciate that.
Great. We're moving down to when I first joined Rotary in 2010. Okay, I knew the members who were. I like this again, the pause, because you're kind of giving yourself some talking points, or how you're going to say it. So we're going to clean up this language. I knew who the members were, but did not really know them other than at the meetings. So instead of that, consider this. It's a little bit more economical. I knew the faces and names of our members, but I didn't know them as people. You'll find it's 7 words less. And one of the words I'm scrapping is this word. And can you tell me why we're getting rid of it? Really?
Yeah, we don't need it.
Yeah, it's a soft word. It's not really contributing to the sentence. So do you have the replacement sentence that I gave you?
Yeah, I knew the faces and names of our members, but did not know them as people.
That's right. And when you say it, you can, because it's so clean and simple and there's no rabbit holes, no distractions. Yeah, God, I feel that way. And then they start thinking, I feel that way about people I'm sitting next to. And now you're again connecting with them, and you're making these connections that you couldn't get with if the language wasn't cleaner. So I really appreciate your patience here. Later on in this paragraph, this is such a strange phrase, past president. The reason I don't like it is because it references the past. It's not important to the story. You're telling a story, and then we're going to take you, it's called time travel. I'm going to take you back in time to remind you he's past president, but that's not important. You can just say he became president of that club. You don't have to use the word past, right? So
no, I don't. Yep, that would be good.
Now, he became president of that club. By the way, this is Marty Hall, another guy who's not in the room, and they will never meet. I told you there was a theme there, right? Or a motif.
Yeah. So would you suggest just to take this right out then?
See, just because I don't like the fact of using names doesn't mean all the names aren't useful. If you do it once, maybe it has huge impact. But if you do it 3 times, you start getting diminishing return on investment. Maybe this one, and I can't remember the other 4 now, but maybe this one's the strongest one because it is a good story. This guy, Marty Hall, you're in the club, you know these people, but not really as people. You know their names and faces. But this guy, Marty, you know his name, invites you for coffee. And that seminal moment changed your relationship. You started to get to know him as a person. Actually, a bunch of stuff happens after that, which is why I like the story. So maybe you should tell me about Marty. But again, back to that rule of the 5 senses. Tell me what Marty looks like. Was he older than you? Was he taller than you? Did he have was he a big man, a big figure? Was he a soft and bespectacled librarian type? Tell me right now.
Oh, he was younger than I am, and probably by about 20 years.
Okay.
He works for the credit union. Very outgoing individual.
That's the one you want to use, outgoing.
Okay.
So one of the Rotarians, his name was Marty Hall, or just say Marty. This is a rabbit hole too. Marty Hall used to host Let's Make a Deal. As soon as I read that, I started thinking about a game show that was on television 30 years ago. You see what you did to me? So leave off Hall because it's not important. This is about word management. You can only speak at 150 words a minute. You're speaking for 20 minutes. That's 20 times 150. And the more words you squander on last names of people we're never going to care about, the less effective your speech is going to be. So,
and you speak faster than I do, Michael.
Yeah, I'm about 185, 190.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you at the end, you're going to speed up a bit for the call to action. You're actually going to increase your WPMs, words per minute. So now Marty, instead of Marty Hall, he becomes outgoing Marty. Again, word substitution. It's far more important to us that he's outgoing than it is that his last name is Hall. So make him outgoing Marty. Not literally, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This small act of friendship meant a lot to me. Tell us why. He was the first one to ask me to do something outside the club. If it's not technically true, nobody's going to come down and knock on your door at night and say, liar. Mm. But I'll bet it was. I'll bet he was one of the first guys to really extend his hand to you and sit down and, you know.
Especially outside of the meeting environment.
And the way to sweeten this even more, you didn't say he bought the coffee, but I'll bet you he did.
Yeah, he did.
So he bought you a cup of coffee. He did something nice for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you're trying to get people you're telling the story for the benefit of the people in the audience. And what you want the people in the audience to do as soon as you're done with this is buy each other a cup of coffee outside the club. So make it really clear how this works. This small act of friendship meant a lot to me. Fast forward today, I like that. Moving. Marty has since moved to the Carol Club. And he became president of that club. So the headline there isn't that he moved to the Carol Club. The headline is that he had a leadership track in Rotary. And so make sure I get that if you're going to put that in the speech. Okay, and then this is an interesting thing about Rotary, and it's about all these things spinning and all connecting, you know, and all this kind of stuff. There's a model here for this because the DR comes up. I made a note, something like 5 times in your talk, 5 times, the Dominican Republic. You keep coming back to it. So you either got to make it a more of a central theme, which is Rotary opportunities, and those opportunities overlap. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know. I need to spend more time on this myself to make it a better speech. But you're kind of seeing the window to where I'm at, right?
So develop it more at the beginning, the importance of the Dominican Republic and how it relates to the story. I
don't know. Maybe you're going to do all your DR stuff in one section called the DR. I don't know yet. Hmm. But the way it's set up right now, you keep going back to the DR with all these separate, disparate points. You'll see. We've got 3 more to go. 3 more Dominican Republic references to go. But anyway, let's see if there's something else about that. Leadership succession. Yeah, leadership succession. So one of the governor's big jobs is to get people in the clubs to do more, to get engaged. And one of the easy ways to get engaged is to chair a damn committee. Now, you can't get up in front of the room and say, I want you all to chair a damn committee. But you tell a story about how outgoing Marty and maybe inspire them to be that person in their club. I do this trick often to get the conversation into the room. I'm curious, who is the outgoing Marty in your club? Is he here today? And you start looking around, ... ellipses, right? And they'll point to somebody. They go, very good. And your job, what's your name? Oh, Esther, your job is to train the next Esther. And everybody starts laughing. And now you've planted this leadership succession seed and you've watered it, you've put some sunshine on it and some fertilizer, and it's going to grow. Mm-hmm. And you did it so quickly. Okay. The next paragraph is, what does passion mean to you? It's another one of those questions that can't be answered, will never be answered, and may not be worth asking as a question. You might even just say, I want to talk about passion next. It would be even more powerful. Again, declaring it, right? Passion's important to a volunteer organization. Don't you agree? Now there's the question. So declaration, quick question. In sales, that's called an anchor. You know, you with me? Does that sound make sense? You agree? And you get everybody to say yes. Okay. And we do it again. Ed Goings. Who is Ed Goings? A member of a club that you guys don't belong to. Now, if the Ed story is stronger than Marty's, keep this one. I'm not sour on the whole concept. It's just that you do it over and over again. Maybe five, I don't know how many different names there are. Down here, it actually becomes almost comical. You say, if you had known Ed, well, why do you say that? Of course they don't know Ed. So just say he was a hard person to say no to. You see the difference? So we set up this thing that you don't know Ed, and then I'm going to remind you that you don't know Ed, and then I'm going to tell you about him anyway. So why don't I just tell you about him? Move this thing along. That's kind of where I'm getting at here. And there's another DR reference. So you either have to make a thing of this or mention it once and move on. You don't want people to say at the end, well, it's a pretty good speech. You talked a lot about the Dominican Republic, which I guess is a country someplace. You know, they're not really interested in the Dominican Republic. You are. You got to talk about what they're interested in.
Yeah, good point. So one theme I'm hearing from you is less is more in this, what I've written down so far. Yeah,
less is more. Keep track of these themes, these motifs. Make sure they're useful to you and not just filling up space. You've worked too hard to be governor, and you want too much from these people to squander this opportunity to connect with them. And we haven't even gotten to the most important part yet, which is the CTA, which stands for Call to Action. Every presentation should have a call to action. And everything that we do on the way to the CTA should stage it. Set the stage for it, which we can do better at. Here you say, you know that one half of new members leave Rotary within the first 18 months. I've been in Rotary a long time. I didn't ever hear that statistic, so that's a good one. If that's true, that's golden.
I have heard that statistic.
Okay, I'm sure you have. Mm-hmm. But there's one of those empty questions.
But the question again, isn't it?
What's that?
It's a question again, isn't it?
Yeah, an empty one.
Yeah.
But maybe that's one's okay, I guess. But you're asking a bunch of questions of a crowd that's never going to be able to answer you. But in this case, if you're going to fry the fish fast and move on, it's okay. Did you know that one half of new members? Why don't you say it this way? I read in the Rotarian magazine that one half of new members leave Rotary within the first 18 months. Now you're not asking them, you're declaring it, and you're providing attribution. And I read about Rotary. Part of this whole gig, and a lot of people don't understand this, is you want to be perceived as a little bit smarter than everybody in the room. Does that bother you at all?
No, it doesn't. As long as I know my material, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I would think the governor is a little bit smarter about Rotary than everybody else. That's who I want to be governor, somebody who's a little bit smarter, maybe even a lot smarter. I also think you should be a little bit more passionate about Rotary than everybody in the room. You're certainly going to be dedicating that level of time. But Rotarians are humble people, and so we get up in front and we go like, I don't want to be smarter than everybody else. I don't want to be more passionate than everybody else. I'll just be like them. And you come in the room average, and then nobody thinks you're special. And we need them to think you're special if you're going to bang it as governor.
So I can come across as being passionate, and hopefully that can reflect back on them.
Yeah. And of course, you never say, I am more passionate than all of you.
Right.
But they're going to get this, they're going to get like supercharged from you. And the only way that can happen is if you have more of what they want. And it's evident. They can't be ambivalent about this. They have to be sure. Yeah, this guy's the real deal. And it only comes from two places, your verbal and your nonverbal signals, the things you say and the things you do during your speech. And it's a very simple formula. And that's why we're spending so much time on it. I really appreciate your patience. All right. Maybe they were not engaged. Okay, you're going to go into engagement now and how important it is. Here's another soft word. Why do you say maybe they're not engaged? They're definitely not engaged. So instead this becomes, why is this? Maybe they are not engaged. You're kind of soft pedaling it. I say, put it on the table, man. You got a winning hand, put it on the table. And you would say something like, from the top, do you know that 1/2 of new members leave Rotary within the first 18 months? You might even repeat it. I would repeat it before I would say this stuff, because repeat is for emphasis. 1/2 of new members leave Rotary within 18 months. It might even be true in your club. Now you're bringing it home. And then you say, this is because they are not engaged. This is because they are not engaged. 7 words. You hear how simple and elegant that is? I'm not asking, the old Jewish comedians, I'm not asking with this, I'm telling. So tell them, you know it's true because you're trying to plant the engagement seed. Okay, down below we've got a repetition problem. There are over 1.2 million Rotary members in the world. So you cut out one word by saying Rotarians instead of Rotary members. But you never want to mention the same statistic 2 sentences in a row unless it's going to do you a favor, and it's not doing you any favors. So you combine the 2 sentences and you just leave this one out essentially.
Yeah. Same
trick we tried earlier. And nobody misses it. And you say, just think what could happen when all 1.2 million worldwide Rotarians are engaged in doing good, or all 1.2 million. You can't leave in the world at the end for various reasons. So 1.2 million Rotarians in the world are engaged in doing good. Now, a couple of times you've mentioned, I challenge you, and this is a pet peeve of mine. I've always thought there were a lot of people in the audience that didn't necessarily want to be challenged. Yeah, you got your competitive people, you got your alpha males, you got people that, want to be challenged. I don't like people that challenge me. It doesn't, I don't know. Especially don't like the friendly speaker to challenge me, the guy that's not even in our club to challenge me. I get challenged enough by the people around me.
Yeah, good point.
If that's your flavor, that's fine. Not my flavor. And consider that it might not be other people's flavor. Also, this phrase, find your passion, implies they haven't done so yet. I think that's a dangerous place to go. Most people know their passion already. They may have not articulated it very well, but I would rather say, bring your passion to your incoming president so that we can incorporate what you care about in your Rotary experience. I'd rather say that than say, all right, let's start at square one. First you have to know the definition of passion. Then you have to go find your passion. Then you have to articulate your passion. Then you have to bring your passion to the president. Why don't we just skip those first 3 stages? Because we kind of know that they're the precursor to bringing your passion to the president. But I think what we really need is people who are interested in Alzheimer's to mention it to the damn president and say they got a speaker that they want to bring in or a project they want to work on. I think if more Rotarians did that, in your district next year, you'd have a kick-ass year.
Yeah.
Okay. This passion has led me on 12 Rotary service trips. There's the DR again. So could you tell me you've been on 12 Rotary service trips and not mention the Dominican Republic? Since you already mentioned it 4 times? Yes. This is the 4th time in my notes.
Yes.
So, of course you can. So what you really want to get at here maybe is that there's things to do outside the club. So what's happening, and I'll tell you this as someone who's been district governor, one of the big problems is with our clubs who are coding or flat or arrested development. They're not growing anymore. I'll give you some power language here. Clubs are either growing or dying. Which one is yours? So that puts people on the spot now, right? Because if they can't tell you they've had a membership increase the last 3 years, by definition, they're dying. And it's time to reverse it. So you get right to it. You got to get people, you got to get their attention, man. You know, this is where they breathe, not on their elbow. If you touch their elbow the whole talk, you don't have their attention. You got to get them here. It's a little graphic, but you get the idea. You got to get them here, I guess.
Yeah.
So there are 5 avenues of service. It might be incumbent upon the governor to talk about this quickly. And maybe you're going to mention international service because it's been a passion of yours. You should talk about your passions. But it's a great way to see the world. And the way I got all this done in the same crock pot is I said, and you can have this, I have a great club and I love my fellow Rotarians, but my best club experiences have happened outside the club. And you can hear a pin drop in the room because most of them don't know what's going on outside the club. They haven't been to a district conference. By the way, you want them to come to your district conference, don't you?
I do. Yeah.
Plug it in this speech. Put it in here. I don't see it in here. And you might, at this point, you might say even, you don't know if it's going to be a physical or a virtual, but the date we're planning on is such and such. Mark your calendars. You don't have to have any other details, but mark your calendars. And you'll know if this is working because they'll get out their phones and they'll start typing it in right now. That's success. That's a call to action. Okay. And you're also plugging, because the 5 avenues of service, one of them is international and one of them is interact. And you're getting both. That's why I'm collecting this together for you and organizing it a bit. And then you say, by the way, the other 3 avenues are local, community, whatever. And now you've done it again, just like you did with the 6 areas of 6 areas of focus.
Okay.
You reference a gala, but there's no previous reference. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's a foundation gala that we have every year in November.
Okay, so some of the people in the club don't know what it is either. You're gonna have to say foundation gala, so they make that connection. It's easy. And I would, just talking points here, I would break these paragraphs up. I don't know what font this is in, but when you start reading this speech, either into the camera or with an audience, you're going to be gesturing with are you right-handed?
I'm right-handed.
So write this down. You're going to gesture with your right hand and you're going to use your left hand for a placeholder. So let's say I've got the notes right here underneath me, right? So I'm going to show you how I do it. This is how I mark my place, and I'm gesturing, and I never lift my index finger off where I am, because when I look up and I look down again, that's when people get lost. And you've seen speakers do this. It will never happen to you if you use this technique. That's how you track it all the way down. And when you're done, you don't turn the page like this. Listen to all the noise, right? You just slide it. Now you're off camera. Nobody heard anything. Yeah, they're out of order later, but who cares? That's why you numbered the pages like I told you to.
Yeah, okay. That's a good idea.
Bunch of little tricks here. We're almost done. Okay, so open her eyes to everything she has as an American. Okay, so the problem with this is it's not vivid enough. Like what? You know, was it the fact that she freedom of choice, all the choices that she has? Was it the capitalistic system? Was it, even if they kind of color in a little bit because it happened a long time ago? You got to tell us what. You got to make it more vivid for us if you want to sell it. This is my suggestion.
Okay.
Last of that paragraph is another one of those questions. Oh, wait, it's not. Sorry. What you do with your passion may impact people in ways you don't expect or even know. All right, so little pop quiz here for you. What's wrong with this sentence?
You're asking a person who wrote it himself, so.
Well, it's not a, there's your clue.
Oh, the may.
Yeah, it's too soft.
So I'm not declaring.
What's the word instead of may?
Will.
Will, that's right. You hear the difference?
Yes, I do.
This is going to be changing a major part of your personality, because this is how you write. It's probably how you talk, but it's not 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. And I just think it'll help you. I know it will help your speech. I'm pretty sure it's going to help your governor year. All right, our district has one of the best youth exchange programs in all of Rotary. Why? Make it real. Is it true?
Well, I think we have a great program in our district.
Is it an expression or is it fact?
It's more of an expression, because there's a lot of great youth exchange districts out there.
Yeah, well, you didn't say the best. You said one of the best. But what is it about your program that you're so proud of? This is the time to share it. Maybe it's the fact that you get so many inbound. Maybe it's the fact you have so many outbound. Maybe it's so easy for you to get volunteers. I don't know. But tell us why it's one of the best. Let us.
And I tried to do that when I went into that story later about the person cooking and the impact about what she has on the host parent.
All right, it's coming. It's coming then. So hang on. All right. If you've hosted an exchange student, you probably had. So you're seeing repetition, things that came up earlier. So I know you know how to fix them.
Yeah.
You probably have a passion, and probably isn't necessary. They definitely have a passion. Why would anybody host a kid for any amount of time if they didn't have a passion for it? And so if you've hosted an exchange student, can become Rotarians who host an exchange student have a passion for learning about other cultures. So it's a lot more positive, proactive, yeah. Okay, cool. And now we're getting into the story about what she enjoys. So the student's name is Sarah. She's from Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit of humor about Sarah's cooking. This is muy bueno, M-U-Y, I believe, in Spanish.
Yeah, I put, well, it could be, I put the Dominican version was M-U, but.
Oh, you might be right then. I'm sorry. Okay,
it could be M-U-Y.
And you know how to say it, right?
Yeah, muy bueno.
Okay, good. In fact, later in the year, Sarah prepared a special meal at the Frankenmuth Farmers Market for 2 of our Frankenmuth Rotary clubs. Okay, good. Local reference, I like it. So where do you see, you said earlier you were kind of defending all of the things that, what did you say?
Well, you were saying that our district has one of the best youth exchange programs in all of Rotary.
Right, and you
wanted me to support that statement.
And you said you supported it down below. Where down below are you supporting it? Just so I know what you're thinking.
Well, I was just thinking through that story.
Okay.
And the impact that that she has on the club and also on the host parent.
Okay. Okay.
As an example for one student.
So the end of the Sarah arc, the story, it's not really a story, it's more of an anecdote, because the story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And by the way, I think you have 2 or 3 possible signature stories. They're called signature stories, but they'll take at least 2 minutes to tell. That's 300 words. And these anecdotes that you're passing off as stories can be developed to be signature stories, but they're not quite there yet. I can help you, somebody else can help you, but just my honest opinion, we need to develop them more. And I'll tell you why. So you bothered to introduce us to Sarah. And the punchline is that, look how successful we were with Sarah. She made 2 meals to feed Rotary. But that's not the end of the story with Sarah. Sarah was learning life skills, and Sarah was learning another culture. And Sarah knows now about the United States, and she goes home and talks about the United States. And we talk about Venezuela in ways that we couldn't talk about it before. So the ending has to be more showbiz, big finish, you know? Mm-hmm. I think. And the kids hate this. The kids hate it that we think the best thing that happened was that they cooked for us, which is kind of how this reads. I know you don't feel that way.
Yeah, no, it's a lot more than that.
Yes. So we'll fix it. I won't leave you hanging. All right. Let's see. Tim Donnellan, her host dad. Again, and is Tim Donnellan still around?
Yes, he is.
And he's in one of the clubs in your district?
He's in my club.
Okay. Is Tim Donnellan a good spokesperson for Exchange?
He is, very much so.
All right. So if you're going to go through the trouble of mentioning Tim by name, you want to say Tim is a good person for you to talk to if you want to know more about the youth exchange experience. And then you have a way for them to connect with him right now. Maybe it even goes on the screen with Tim's permission. Again, another call to action. You're not just saying, think about youth exchange, I got to go. You're saying, here's the guy to talk to. And it's not even me. It's a guy just like you, or another Rotarian just like you. He's not going to sell you on it. He's just going to answer your questions. I love that stuff. All these little mini calls to action.
So a good place to put in his picture then, and
yes, how
to contact him.
Yeah,
with his permission.
And maybe that's the theme of your talk. Maybe you're just going to show faces of people. I like this. So the first one's your face, maybe, and your title and your contact info. And the second one is the girl in the Dominican Republic. The school says in the school, you said you had a good picture of her. Mm-hmm. And then there's a photo of a duck's face. And then were you going to use slides?
I do. Just for the pictures, just to support what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So 5 pictures and no graphs. That's a good governor speech.
Yeah, I don't want to get into all the details about this is the foundation and all this.
Yeah.
It's more about
a photo of Marty Hall if he's still around. But here's the thing: you can't just use any photo. You got to have good high res, framed, clean photos, right? Mm-hmm. You can't put up the one photo you have of Randy Hall is probably crappy. Mm-hmm. So the way around that is you go to Facebook and you find his headshot in Facebook, which is probably pretty clean because he wouldn't do that to himself. He wouldn't post a bad picture. Mm-hmm. And then you download his profile picture or have him send you his headshot. Either way works. You got time.
Well, and you mentioned pictures. Should it be anything more than a headshot?
Well, you can put his name under it.
But I mean, the profile of his head versus him doing something in action.
I like headshots because we have a hard time getting professional looking photos to the screen. And if there's a lot of stuff going on, anytime, it depends on how clean the photo is. If he's doing project work and you can clearly make out his face and he's having a good time, But if you want them to be real people, we have to see their whites of their eyes. We have to see their smile.
Okay, so close-up picture.
Like a headshot.
Okay.
And getting ready to wrap up here. Okay, this is a good one. You're going to be glad we talked about this. All right, Rotarians are people of action. Let's see, power of Rotary. There we go. Now you're adapting a phrase from a couple years ago, right? Change lives.
Yes.
I don't think it's exactly the same. I think it's changed, right? Rotary, I can't remember what it is. Rotary changes lives.
Oh, I can double check it, what it is.
Well, yeah, either use the original one or change it to your change it to your benefit for the speech. Because changing lives, my friend, is the same as transforming lives. That's what got my attention.
Oh, okay.
That's what made me think it wasn't the real phrase.
Okay, I'll go back and check.
Okay.
Yeah, good point.
In my notes, this is the 5th time you've mentioned the DR. And at this point, people are going to be saying, I don't give a crap about the DR. I'm glad this guy likes it. Why does he keep talking about it? But I know that that's the common thread that runs through your Rotary experience. But I'll tell you something. All governors talk too much about themselves.
Yeah.
Don't be like one of those governors. Okay, so now you're getting into water. And so this is the 6 areas of focus again. So you see how you're kind of all over the place, right? You need to be more tight, more organized. Just my opinion. What did I have here? Now as district governor. What was that about? Led me to be district water and sanitation committee chair, then global grants chair, and now as district governor. I think your point was that about leadership succession. I think that's what you're trying to get at. We all know you moved up, but that's about you. Make it about them. And one way to do that is a simple sleight of hand. I did it, and so you can do it. But you have to bring them into it. They're not in this right now, right?
Right.
So you can say, so I talked earlier about leadership succession. I told you, in my case, I was the district water and sanitation committee chair. Then I was the global grants chair, and now I'm district governor. And you can do the same thing, working your way up in the club. And of course, we can use your talent at the district level. Just give me your business card after the event. And Randy, if you actually say those words, someone will come up to you after the talk and give you their business card. And you take that card from them and you write district, D-I-S-T. They've just volunteered for the district. If you can get 5 people to volunteer for the district as a result of your governor visits.
Oh, that'd be huge.
Of course.
Yeah.
So these constant micro calls to action, I think, are really good for you. And they're like time released in your speech. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. But here comes the big one. Here we go. When you take a position on a committee, I inserted the word active. When you take an active position on a committee, we've got a shit ton of people on committees that aren't doing anything.
Well, that's true. Yeah, everybody's pretty much assigned a position on a committee.
So when you take an active position on the committee and your index finger goes up in the air for the emphasis, when you take an active position, and then again, you end with one of those questions that can't be answered. Are you in Rotary or are you a Rotarian? Now, when I'm in the front of the room, because I come at them with both barrels, a different style I'll give you. But I say to them, come on now, do you want to be in Rotary or do you want to be a Rotarian? And I, that's the fork in the road, left or right. And then I might even drill them down. How many of you just want to be in Rotary? You're just okay with being in Rotary. And how many of you want to be Rotarian? Let me see how many of you want to be just in Rotary. And then they start playing the game with you, And one person will raise their hand. And if you go there, they'll say, oh, I've got a wife home sick with lupus. And then all the energy in the room comes out like this. So don't focus on winning everybody over. Just try to get them to, in general, say, yeah, I need to be more active. And that'll be a win. I actually like this sentence. I was hard on you, but I think this is one of the best paragraphs that you've got. Because it's quick and to the point, and it's like that combination punch again, and you just keep coming at me. Rotarians are people of action. We are volunteers that do good in the world. When you take an active position on a committee in your club to do service work and make it meaningful, you will become a Rotarian. There you go.
Oh, that's good.
Write it down.
Yep.
So all we did was we took out We took out, are you in Rotary? We took out that choice again and just gave them, it's like saying
You
there's a
will
fork in
become a
the,
Rotarian.
huh?
You will become a Rotarian.
Yeah. What we did was, it was like an illusion. We were coming up like on a fork in the road, but then we said, nope, it's not a fork. You're going to go right. I kind of like that. That's maybe I like this because it's more my style, but I really dig it. All right, we're getting into the call to action now. This is the last page. Okay, so you're wrapping up with the fun and fellowship, which were your three keywords at the beginning, and the passion. Good job. That's called a book ending. You end your speech with the same language you began it. Everybody starts to realize this, you're wrapping this up. And remember, fellowship is also part of fundraising and service activities like highway cleanup. Okay, that was just, that seems like now you just kind of take advantage of me. Because you cleaned it up with fun, fellowship, and passion. And now you're going to mention something like highway cleanup, Governor. Nope, that's not Governor grade.
Okay. I can do the less is more on this part.
Yeah. So
take it out.
For that little phrase, fellowship, I would say something like this. And bonus points when you do all three things at once, everybody. When you're having fun, fellowship, passion. I'm still missing the impact part. I would get impact in there. I would get impact into that mix of the four words. You did it early on, and now you've abandoned it. And it's not a good idea for a governor.
Okay.
So if you're wrapping it up, now you're talking about fun, fellowship, passion with impact. And bonus points if you get all four of them in the same activity. And you can't see, the confusing part here is there's nothing fundraising about highway cleanup, unless I'm missing something.
No, the highway cleanup was more of a service activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
that's why I say I can cross that off easy enough. I follow what you're saying.
Yeah, I would close with bonus points when you get all four at the same time.
Yeah.
See, yeah, that's going to really clean things up to be using those four words, because you've got impact at the front, and then I say you left it away like an abandoned child. All right. So another series of questions here at the end. It's your thing. 3 questions. So how does Rotary open opportunities through you? What Rotary memories are you making? Where is your Rotary happy? I mean, I'm reeling right now. What you really want is to be telling them to do something as soon as you leave the podium, but instead you send them back into thought balloon land where they're going to try to, debate the philosophical merits of service. So the problem is you can't take this out until you have something to replace it with, which is your call to action. There's the word challenge again. But you're too high end, man. I like it, Randy. They need all these things, but it's not specific enough. So write this down. When the call to action is specific and idiot proof, they'll do it. And I don't mean idiot proof in a disparaging way. It has to be not too hard for them to figure out. For example, and I know we've abandoned it this year because membership has issues, but get 5 new members by June 30th. It's very specific. Raise $20,000. Give 10K, give 25% of your DDF to polio this year. Very specific. Numbers are specific. The best calls to action have numbers. I mean, how do you even measure this? You told everybody to go find their Rotary passion, and 20 years from now, you're going to tell people, yeah, I was a great governor because I told people to find their Rotary passion. But how are you ever going to measure that?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like any grant we do, it's got to be measurable.
Yeah. So what's measurable? $1 million dinner is measurable. 20% DDF is measurable. And I'm not suggesting these for you. I'm just saying these are examples.
Mm-hmm.
Having an event on World Polio Day, October, I think it's the 24th this year. Having an event, have an event. And the clubs are supposed to have one. It's part of the citation.
Yes.
How about this one? Earn the president's citation this year. That's just a bunch of check boxes, a number of check boxes. But give them something specific that they can sink their teeth into, and then help them understand how easy it is to get it done. Keep showing them, keep inspiring them, keep having the AGs visit to tell them how to do it. Keep having them report on it and talk about it. I think all that stuff pays off.
So I need to work on the call to action for sure.
Yeah. I realize that it sounds like I'm coming at you, but you don't need somebody to tell you it's great, you know.
No, I don't want you to tell me that it's great, because I know I have a long ways to go.
Yeah. And don't be hard on yourself either. Writing is an iterative process. It's always the best kind of writing is rewriting. How many times have you rewritten this so far?
About 3 or 4.
Okay, you got 7 more to go.
Yeah.
And each time it becomes 10% better or 20% better until it's really, really good. In Hollywood, they call it punching up the script. Every screenplay goes through it, tightening it up, making it better. You know what they do in Hollywood? They show they finish the movie with 2 endings, and then they show the ending, both endings, to test audiences to see which one's better. You should do that with your speech.
Yeah,
if you can't decide, I mean, you don't want to have to go through this, what we just did with 10 other people, but just show a couple people 2 endings, or how you say it 2 different ways, or 2 different openings, and just see which one they think is better.
So earlier you had mentioned that you don't necessarily think the fun, fellowship, passion with purpose are really strong blocks to build from, if you will.
I do if you add impact. This is just
passion
me.
with impact.
Yeah, this is me talking, right? Very direct.
Mm-hmm.
From my money, as a governor who's tried to get people to act on those 3 things, it's really hard. You can't measure it. They're fluffy. They're easy to talk about, but hard to actually pull off. But when you put impact in there, now you're talking about, you know, raising money, growing the club, getting attention, having 100 people come to an event. Impact, right? Getting into the newspaper. Impact. So another way to position that is, you know, deprecating humor, self-deprecating. I know these governor visits aren't usually the highlight of the year for anybody, because all the governors talk about basically the same 4 things. They talk about how to have fun, or encourage you to have fun. They want you to have fellowship. They want you to be passionate about what you do, and they want you to have impact. And I want you to do all 4 of them at the same time. And I'm going to tell you, of the 4, impact is the one that means the most, but it's the one we focus on the least. And let me tell you why. And then you dive in.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun in Rotary, but we think small. You know, we do car washes that net us $500 and say we had a service project this week, but it means nothing. It didn't do anything. This is my feeling. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful.
It has. You've enlightened me on many different things here.
Maybe some things you didn't want to talk about, but sometimes that's a gift, you know, because you'd rather know now than after you do a few of the talks and you're flat and can't figure out why people aren't responding in the way you hope they would.
Oh yeah, I thought I was about 80% done. Now I think I'm about 50% done.
Yeah, I would say about 50.
Yeah.
But to me, I mean, you might think, well, that's a come down. But to me, this is right where you should be, 50%, based on the amount of work that you've done, and you're getting professional coaching now. If my commentary wasn't helpful to you, and you're already at 80%, you know, what's the fun of that? You didn't even need to talk to me. So everything's right on schedule. And now it's a question of that iteration and digging in and being uncomfortable again and again with, oh my God, that's still not good enough. That's still not good enough. Let me see if I can do it again. and the ball keeps getting, in golf, the ball just keeps getting closer and closer to the hole. It's pretty good. You're going to be a fantastic governor, and I know that because you took the time to do a session like this. Very few governors dig into their speech like this, man.
How many governors reach out to you and ask for help like this?
I get a lot of, when you say like this, that's the trick part of the question. So I'm at a district conference and I'm having dinner next to somebody who's going to be governor next year, and he starts chatting me out. Or maybe it's somebody that I start chatting up because I think I can help him. Hundreds of those meetings a year, either like this or at dinner. I enjoy it though. I enjoy giving back. I enjoy helping people. We don't really get this kind of training at International Assembly. I mean, you're there all week. Did you do any speech writing?
No, the only time there was any kind of speech training, if you will, was at the zone conference. And that was just a 1 hour thing where we had everybody kind of gave their 3 or 4 minute, story, if you will.
Yeah, the Rotary moment.
Yeah, but that was about it. There wasn't anything about how do you write your speech or what should that look like? How do you approach it?
Yeah, and if you do a really good job on this, there are millions of ways to repurpose it. Let's close with this. So you do your speech, and what most Rotary governors think is, well, I'm going to go now give it to all my clubs, and I can check that box, and then I can worry about the district conference and other things coming up this year. That's what 99% of the governors do. I want you to have it recorded live with audiences in rooms that'll show well. Don't do it in these club meetings that are meeting in a, less than visual atmosphere. And try to do it in front of a big crowd. Try to do it on the day you can get an audio video guy to help you, right? Mm-hmm. I also want you to read it into the camera and record it on your phone so you have a copy of it. Then you can repurpose that video. You can repurpose it on Facebook, on the district page. The 80-20 rule's alive and well in Rotary. Find the clubs that have the highest number of members, the most active clubs. Make sure they get a copy of it because people will be missing on the day that you do your talk.
Right.
Publish it someplace, like on the website. Publish sections of it. I do this. Once I get it done, I do a screenshot. You know that killer paragraph that I really liked? Let's say it was this one. I do a screenshot of that killer paragraph. I do a snippet on my computer, crop it down, and I post it as a Facebook post.
Oh.
You can even highlight sections of it before you take the picture. Now it'll have a yellow stripe and their eyes will go right to the keywords. Why don't people do this? You bother all that energy to get this speech together, and then it goes out like a radio broadcast, and you never hear it. It dissipates, and you never hear it again.
Yeah. So earlier we were talking about Zoom meetings, and what's the best technique to do this over Zoom?
Do your speech.
Yeah. If we have to have a Zoom meeting for club meetings, say this fall. Any tips on how to present this via Zoom?
I think the first thing to think about is not trying to get what you need done in Zoom meetings with the various clubs, because the very first problem you're going to have is a wide variety of quality productions. Some clubs are going to know how to do it. Some clubs aren't. I haven't thought all the way through this, but you might even want to host. I don't know how that would work. I would issue a set of specific instructions about how the governor visit's going to work. Do you know what percentage of your clubs are doing Zoom meetings?
We talked about that earlier. There's probably, my guess is 75-80% right now. I've been reading about some just coming on board.
Yeah.
In the last week or two. Well,
it's impossible to know what you're walking into. So here's the thing, and it's the same, by the way, with physical visits. You don't know what you're walking into. The venue, is the president in charge or not? Are there going to be any people there? We always go through this.
But a physical one, you can at least kind of read the room and know the vibe of what's going on. And and what, see the enthusiasm of the people.
Yeah, but the end result's still the same. You're either really good because it was organized and tight, or you're not. And the same thing's true for online sessions. You're either really good because things were organized and tight, or you're not. Here's the problem. Instead of focusing just on the podium presentation or just on the video, understand that you can get this message out in so many different ways other than the governor's speech. In fact, the governor's speech is a trap that we all walk into, because the governor visit, as I said, is not usually the most highly attended or most anticipated event of the year. It's like a big bear trap that we all have to stumble in. Now, is it important that they see your face and hear your voice? Of course. But it doesn't get done what you need to get done. Your messaging has to be iterative and overlapping. And that's that chunking it out. And the AGs now have your talking points, and the AGs go do their visits, and it's showing up on Facebook pages, you know, all these other different places. It's like a marketing campaign, really.
Yeah.
You'll come up with your best ideas as the bigger your stomach ache gets, as you worry about it.
Yeah. So, you know, and one thing I want to do is have a monthly video message out there. Maybe put it on the website or Facebook, whatever. So part of that message could include part of this information in the speech.
Do you want to do the video message because of COVID, or because it's another tool for you?
It's another tool
Okay.
to communicate. I mean,
Okay.
our district needs to keep up the communication level, maybe take it to the next step.
Okay, so again, I don't know you well, but I'm getting to know you a bit, and you've been presenting to me on this video so far. I will tell you this. In the same way you have to study the art of speaking for physical presentations, you have to study the art of being on camera. And I'll give you a couple tips for that right now. So we're in a frame right now let's do this in a separate call. Hang on.